Go look at your paycheck. It's not at least 100 grand a month. You got work to do.
He went from a complete nobody in sales to this loud, in-your-face internet sales guru. But that's only part of the story. Behind all that energy and hype, there's a whole different side to Andy Elliott that most people never even hear about. He didn't just pop up famous one day. He started out grinding as a regular car salesman, unknown, overlooked, just trying to make deals like everyone else. Now suddenly, he's everywhere, one of the most recognizable faces in the sales training game, and people can't stop talking about him. Son Budnick, our prices have never been lower. That high-pressure style became his signature, but behind all the shouting and motivation was a story that didn't always match the image he was pushing. The more people paid attention, the more that gap started to show, and instead of building him up, it flipped the script. Over time, that disconnect turned him into a target, with people online calling him out, mocking the act, and questioning what was really real.
1,000!
Hey, bro, you a salesman?
No, I'm a warrior. How you doing today? I'm Russ Richardson. Pleasure to meet you. Appreciate you coming out today. You don't understand how much I appreciate your time today.
Jeez, man.
What can we help you with?
I was just looking to look at some cars today, man.
Looking to look at some cars. Well, you came to the right place, and I'm going to make sure this is the greatest experience you've ever had. Follow me.
Before the viral clips, the shouting, and the over-the-top energy, Andy was just a teenager working at a car dealership. He jumped into the business at 18 and got locked in fast, obsessed with learning every trick in the game. But the style he built wasn't chill or customer-friendly. It was intense, aggressive, and all about one thing above everything else: closing the deal. By the time he hit 20, he was already pulling in his first six-figure year, and that was just the start. Over the next 2 decades, he claimed he was making anywhere from $700,000 to $800,000 a year selling cars, numbers that helped build this larger-than-life reputation he now pushes in his training content. Those figures get repeated a lot, but what doesn't get talked about as much is where some of that money actually came from. Between 2014 and 2019, Andy Elliott was working at Big Red dealerships in Norman, Oklahoma. He started as a trainer and manager, then worked his way up to general manager, which on the surface looked like a major win. Everything about it screamed success story, but according to allegations connected to that dealership, there were claims that something more complicated was happening behind the scenes during that time. Big Red wasn't just moving cars off the lot, it was allegedly connected to one of the biggest automotive fraud cases in Oklahoma history. Reports claimed the business targeted people with bad credit, people under pressure, and people who didn't have many options left. Behind closed doors, things were said to get even more questionable. Fake down payments, known as King Cash, were allegedly created and sent to lenders as if the money was real. It didn't stop there. Customer signatures were reportedly forged, trade-in details were allegedly twisted, and banks were pushed into approving loans that, according to claims, should have never been approved in the first place. And Andy Elliott, according to those allegations, he wasn't some random outsider watching it all go down. Claims suggested he knew exactly what was happening and was right in the middle of it. In November 2021, things escalated in a big way. The 3 owners of Big Red dealerships went to trial over serious charges tied to wire fraud, forgery, and identity-related crimes. Right at the center of it all was Andy Elliott, now a key witness in the case. Reports say he was offered a deal: testify against his former bosses, admit his role, and in return, receive full immunity from prosecution. He took that deal under oath. During his testimony, Andy admitted he had been part of the larger operation, and when he was directly asked whether he had been involved in manipulating both customers and employees, his response was clear and left no room for confusion. "I was a part of that." That one line hit hard, and it didn't stop there. He also admitted that employees were told to forge customer signatures, pulling back the curtain on how things were really being done. He confirmed the dealership's success was built on false representations, and when he was asked straight up if that success came from fraud, his answer was simple: yeah. Just one word, but it carried serious weight. His testimony connected him to a long list of alleged misconduct: bank fraud, wire fraud, identity-related crimes, bribery, and false statements made to 22 different banks. That's not small stuff, and it painted a picture that was hard to ignore. In the end, all 3 Big Red executives were convicted and sent to federal prison. But Andy Elliott, he walked away with full immunity, no charges, no prison time, and no major hit to his public image at the time. And this is where things start to feel even more intense. While all of this was unfolding at Big Red, Andy was also building a side business, teaching other dealerships how to sell. Think about that for a second. He was crafting this image as a top-level sales expert while, by his own testimony, being involved in an operation accused of running on deception. Then in 2019, right when the investigation around Big Red was heating up, Andy and his wife sold their house for $1 million and went all in on the Elliott Group, his sales training company based out of Scottsdale, Arizona. The timing raised a lot of eyebrows. He stepped away from Big Red before everything fully collapsed, launched his own brand, and then just 2 years later testified against his former bosses in exchange for immunity. After that, the Elliott Group didn't just grow, it exploded in a big way. Andy went all in on building his brand, showing off flashy sales tactics mixed with a high-end lifestyle full of exotic cars, designer fits, and a massive house that grabbed attention instantly. His content was loud, aggressive, and impossible to scroll past. He'd shout straight into the camera, run intense training sessions that felt more like boot camp, and even have trainees doing push-ups while he barked orders at them. Everything about it pushed this hard alpha image. Like that mindset alone was the key to winning big. It was bold, over the top, and for a lot of people, impossible to forget.
You know how you're gonna fix your mindset? 2 things. When you go in the gym and work out and you take care of yourself, just do cardio, bro. Swear you'll be on fire. Here we go, guys. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Everybody say wake up! Wake up!
That loud, over-the-top style got him attention fast. It was everywhere. His YouTube channel shot up into the hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and his Instagram and TikTok followed right behind it, blowing up at the same time. He stayed posting non-stop, pushing his courses, showing off the money, the image, and what he called success. You couldn't scroll without seeing him. But in all that content, there was one thing he didn't seem in a rush to talk about: his past. As the money started coming in, so did the ego. Andy began making huge claims about how much the Elliott Group was pulling in. First, he said $100 million in revenue. Then suddenly it jumped to $160 million. The numbers kept getting bigger and louder, but there wasn't much clear proof shown alongside those claims. Some estimates placed his personal net worth somewhere between $5 million and $12 million, which is still a serious amount, but far from the massive empire he was describing. And while those questions were floating around, his content only got more intense. He started mocking people for being broke, calling them weak, and acting like anyone who hadn't made it was just lazy. That tone didn't sit right with a lot of people, and it only added more heat to the conversation around him.
My wife are on fire, I everybody. When me and her are going through our shit, I gotta keep that home life on point.
The whole brand started leaning way harder into that fake tough guy energy. He kept pushing this idea of being alpha, dominating everyone, never showing weakness, like basic respect and decency were somehow a losing mindset. It came off intense, but also rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Then, the internet flipped on him fast. Videos that were once pushed as motivation suddenly started looking straight up ridiculous to a much bigger audience. TikTok and Twitter users jumped in, turning his over-the-top behavior into parody clips, jokes, and non-stop memes. The yelling, the wild training tactics, the way he talked down to people. It stopped feeling inspiring and started looking embarrassing. Some of the biggest viral clips showed Andy going off on employees during training sessions, but people weren't sharing them because they respected him. They were laughing at him. The tone completely shifted, and instead of pulling back, he doubled down even harder. He kept posting, calling critics broke, lazy, and jealous, which only made the backlash louder and made him come off even more aggressive. Then came the moment that really cracked everything open. People in the automotive world started digging into his past and found his testimony from the Big Red trial. The court transcripts were public, and the details were right there in black and white. Suddenly, the same guy preaching success, discipline, and high-level sales ethics was also the one who had admitted under oath to serious misconduct tied to fraud and false statements. That contrast hit hard, and people couldn't ignore it anymore. That's when the polished image really started breaking down. The same man who avoided prison by testifying against the people he once worked with was now presenting himself as a top-tier business leader. For a lot of people, that contrast didn't sit right, and the questions only got louder. Then in 2024, even more cracks started to show. Former employees and business partners began speaking out, and the claims sounded uncomfortably familiar. One former partner publicly accused the Elliott Group of breaking contracts and using intense pressure tactics to push deals through. It added another layer to the story, and once again, people started looking a lot closer at what was really going on behind the scenes.
That he wants to win this month. Some of them legit did not want to do business with us because of Andy Elliott. Andy knew nothing. His confidence level, you see him online as a super big motivational speaker. He's super confident in everything. And I had a very different...
At the same time, more former team members started speaking up, claiming Andy pushed employees to lie, apply pressure, and manipulate dealers and salespeople into paying for his programs. That's what made everything hit even harder. These weren't random accusations popping up out of nowhere. They sounded way too familiar. A lot of people noticed the pattern right away. The claims echoed the same kinds of tactics Andy had already admitted under oath to being involved in during the Big Red years. That connection made people look at everything differently. It started to feel like those methods were never really left behind. Instead, critics alleged he took that same aggressive playbook, cleaned it up, wrapped it in flashy branding, and sold it back as legitimate sales training. In other words, he was making serious money teaching behavior that looked a lot like what had once caused major legal trouble for others around him. By 2024, the damage to Andy Elliott's reputation was getting hard to ignore. His comment sections were flooded with people bringing up Big Red, asking about his immunity deal, and questioning whether any of his methods were actually ethical. The pressure kept building, and the conversation around him only got louder. The image was cracking right in front of everyone. And Andy's response? He didn't explain anything. No real acknowledgement, no apology, no attempt to clear the air. He just kept posting motivational clips and pushing his training programs like none of it mattered. Almost like he expected people to scroll past it and forget. But people didn't forget, and they definitely noticed. From that point on, every video had a shadow hanging over it. The man preaching integrity in sales had already admitted under oath to serious misconduct tied to fraud. The same voice talking about trust and leadership was now being linked through allegations and testimony to schemes that were said to target people in vulnerable situations. That contrast made the whole brand feel a lot heavier and a lot harder to believe. As more of the story spread, the numbers might have stayed solid, but the energy completely shifted. The praise started fading, and in its place came wave after wave of comments bringing up Big Red, questioning his past and challenging everything he said. It wasn't just noise, it stuck, and it changed how people saw him. That's the part that doesn't just disappear. The image took a serious hit, and for many, the credibility never fully came back. Even now, Andy Elliott still runs the Elliott Group and keeps posting like nothing changed. He still has an audience, and people still buy into his programs, whether they haven't looked into his past or just don't care. But the reputation he built now carries a mark that refuses to fade. He's no longer seen by a lot of people as some inspiring success story. Now he comes off more like a controversial internet figure whose past doesn't line up with the lessons he's trying to sell. For many, he's turned into a meme and even a warning about fake gurus, forced alpha branding, and that toxic hustle culture that looks strong on the surface but falls apart the moment you really examine it. And that's what makes Andy Elliott's story stand out so much. It's not just about success, it's about consequences, or the lack of them. By his own testimony, he admitted involvement in serious federal wrongdoing that played a role in sending others to prison. There were also allegations tied to fraud that impacted struggling customers and misleading dozens of banks. Yet somehow he walked away with immunity and went on to build a multi-million-dollar business off the back of it. That contrast is what keeps people talking. So now the question is simple. What do you think about Andy Elliott's rise and everything connected to his past? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the Fame Rant Daily channel, and share it with others. Stay tuned. There's always more coming next.